Hello, everybody. Welcome to WD Carousel of Podcast. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And today we are going to do another Ian, what do you remember of this movie?
Oh, good.
But this is a special DCOM edition. And for those
good.
of you who are not familiar, DCOM means Disney Channel Original Movie. So, in the late 90s, 2000s, to today, Disney Channel has also started creating its own specific movies for the people who watch the Disney Channel. Makes sense, right?
Yes.
It is going to be lower quality, lower budget, lower impact, but still cheesy and super duper
It's like
fun.
a step above direct-to-video. One step up.
Yes. Much lower than
A box office
theater.
release. Yeah.
So I'm not sure how they decide what type of content they're going to do or quality, but it has a huge cult following.
Yes.
And I think we've talked about one prior to. Did we do Halloween Town?
We did. I think it's just Halloween Town that we've done so far.
So I made Ian watch another DCOM. And this one is topical because there's going to be the third installment in this series coming out here in this year. And it is Descendants.
Yes.
Makes me so happy. So, Ian, before we get started, what is Descendants? Give us the plot.
Okay. Ian's 2-minute plot. The Prince, was it Prince Eric? Is that the beast? What's the beast's name? What's the prince's name? It's the beast.
I am brain farting on this.
The Beast and Belle.
Thank you.
Yeah, whatever. We're to go with that at this point.
I can Google this.
They get their own, they settle down and get their own kingdom.
This is not our first episode. I'm sorry. I don't have the memory.
So the Beast and Belle settle down. This is years after the events of Beauty and the Beast, and they have their son and they have their kingdom, and Adam, thank you. And then they send all of the, I don't know how exactly, but they round up all of the baddies and they put them on the Isle of the Lost.
Isle of the Lost.
Isle of the Lost. And it's just like within viewing distance of their castle, which is sort of weird. But anyway, so then all of the villains live there, and then they all just asexually had kids somehow. And sorry, this is gonna get a little Mystery Science Theater 3000. Sorry,
this is my favorite. Okay, moving on.
And where they all have super angsty DCOM songs that they sing when they're upset about stuff. And
I think this one's Rotten to the Core he's referring to.
I think so, yeah, probably. And that song was too much. But anyway, we're moving on. And so we've got a little band of frenemies. It's Maleficent's daughter,
Mal,
and Jafar's son,
Jay.
I'm not trying that hard. Let's phone that one in. And oh no, Cruella de Vil's son,
Carlos.
That's actually the most creative of all of them. And the queen,
Evie.
Yeah, the queen,
Evil
the queen's daughter.
Evie. Yes.
Yeah, of course, because of course it is.
Yes.
They all asexually reproduced anyway, so who cares? Their names just all only came from one parent. Anyway, so they are all hoodlums because they live on Isle of the Lost, and apparently they're
villain kids. They're VKs.
Villain kids. They're VKs. Yeah.
Moving on.
Awful. And so for whatever reason,
Prince
Ben, who for whatever reason is going to take over the throne. He's 16. I don't know why he's taking over the throne, but that's fine. His dad's 40. I don't really get it. Anyway, he's probably die soon, I guess. I don't know. He is his dad's hey, what do you want to do as your first royal act, even though you're in high school? And he's just I want all the villains to start to integrate with society again. And they're so they get a couple coincidentally those number of people that we just four that we just mentioned earlier, they get announced that they are going to go and go to school with the rest of everybody, and they're like, we're gonna advance the plot by sending you to school over there. And so that's kind of like where it begins. And then before they go, Maleficent, who's Kristen Chenoweth, by the way, that was probably my favorite part of the entire thing, if we're honest. Because I don't know, like, you think of Maleficent as this kind of large, imposing, graceful character, and they get like a person that's like 4'9" or something. Just perfect. Anyway, so she does the thing and tells Mal that she and the rest of the gang need to go get the magic wand from the fairy godmother so that Maleficent can take over and be all powerful, and then they break out of
the hand gestures are amazing, by the way, for the people who are listening.
You really should be watching this, because I am just grasping right now. And so then they go off, and then the problem is I'm going way into too much depth here. Basically what happens is they end up going to the high school thing. Mal tries to get the wand because the fairy godmother is the headmistress, and she's trying to figure out different ways to do it. And she decides that one of the ways to make that happen, I can't remember exactly how it goes, to make it get to that point, but she tries to get Prince Ben. She uses a magic potion because he brings the spell book with her. That was in the freezer. To go. And this sounds so crazy.
You are really good at the details, though.
I am. Well, because there were weird details that just stuck with me. And so then
Mal and Prince Ben,
she like makes him this potion that makes him fall in love with her, and then she uses that to her advantage and gets to the point where he invites her to the coronation, question mark? Yeah, his coronation, where his 40-year-old dad is not going to be king anymore for some reason that I'm still annoyed by that. I don't know why. Of all the problems with this movie, that's the one that I have latched onto. And he decides then that, and then so this whole time, then all of them are kind of questioning like, are they evil? Like, can't we be good and can't we be a little bit bad and like kind of be a little bit on both sides? Is that okay? Can we play both ways? Is that good? And so like she gets the opportunity to get the wand, and she opts not to because she likes where she's at. And it turns out that Prince Ben, the spell had been worn off some time ago for him falling in love with her, and he just did anyway because of course he did, because it's a freaking DCOM.
Well, I mean, it's also Dove Cameron, and she's hot.
Yeah, that is kind of true. Yeah. So that would be kind of like, it was kind of true too when she was doing like, you're gonna make a love potion? Is that really necessary? I'm sorry. Prince Ben is already all over that. Anyway, so yes. Then Maleficent shows up because of a series of events that are too complicated to try to explain at this moment.
/ you can't remember the details.
No, I do remember them.
You do? Good
I remember
job.
them because it's the fairy godmother's daughter and the hair thing, and
yes,
it's just too many steps to explain right now. And which is hilarious because it's a DCOM, and I'm trying to like there's 3 D. It's like it's Game of Thrones or something. And anyway, so then Maleficent shows up, and there's this whole showdown. Turns into the dragon. They blow their entire VFX budget, and she ends up deciding that and then the fairy godmother turns into a little mini dragon or lizard. Turns into a little tiny lizard. Maleficent.
No, but close. We'll continue. I'll correct.
Okay, and then then they don't really address exactly what happens to Maleficent at that point, but then they kind of integrate into society and they're kind of accepted, and that's
and then there's another dance and music number.
There's dance music number, and then she like goes, "You think this is over?" and then winks at the camera, and her eyes go green, and then that's how it ends.
Perfect. So your 2-minute summary is at 10 minutes. He hit a lot of the high points. Basically, the villain's kids were living on a segregated island where all of the baddies are meant to live. Prince Ben says, we don't know the villain kids are necessarily bad. Let's give them a chance. We'll start with these 4, bring them over like transfer students, and we'll see how well they integrate. And yes, you were correct. At that time, Maleficent said, get me the wand. And so the kids are fighting the internal battle between what they've been taught on the island versus what they're learning at the school with acceptance and love and blah, 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 blah. And then you're correct. Mal creates a love potion for Ben to try and con her way into his side to be able to be close enough to steal the wand at his coronation, which she does not do. And then she fights her mother, and it's her fighting her mother that turns her mother into the lizard, because that's as much love as the mother had in her heart. And then They stay with the Oridon kids on the main island, learning how to be good because they all decide to be good. And that is the smaller version of said story.
Yeah,
But
without the really bizarre details I
you
remember.
did really good with the details, though, so I am actually very happy that you remembered that much. Now, when we were watching the movie, there is a kind of comparison that you can make between High School Musical and Descendants. A lot of them being the teenage angst, the fitting in, the romantic connection.
Low-key prefer Dove Cameron, though, if I'm honest.
Music there. But one thing that I love about The Descendants is how it takes the Disney IP and runs with it.
It is
so
true.
So it really advances almost every plot line that you're familiar with through Disney's intellectual properties. That's what IP stands for. And it allows you to feel a more well-rounded story from the characters that we're familiar with through other movies.
Yes, that is true. It was... DCOMs are tough for me because I didn't watch any of them until I was into my 20s. So, I don't have this sense of nostalgia that I can relate them to and have that kind of connection. So, everything I'm looking at is like fresh face value, comparing that against like my childhood animated films, and it's so there's some issues there for me that I have to kind of get past, but this one I've liked probably more than a lot of the others because the vibe is very much like, hey, we're gonna make this at least like super Disney themed, like in classic Disney themed, but we're gonna make it super anachronistic. You're not gonna be able to figure out where it came from.
For more. There's
right.
potential for...
There's a bigger world there that you could go with. And the hard part, though, is when you create a world that open-ended and you pull that much IP in from, like, all over, you start to end up in a situation where it gets a little Kingdom Heartsy and it starts to get, like, a little bit...
But I love Kingdom Hearts.
I know, but you know what? That plot is so confusing.
I know.
So you get to a point where you're like, this could go forever and anywhere, and, like, where do you draw the line? Like, you could... Like, I felt like it ended and I'm like... I'm missing some stuff.
And that's where, honestly, the addition of books help with this. Now, there are 3 other books out there by Melissa de la Cruz, and she wrote one book that is prior to the Descendants movie coming out, which explains how the 4 of those kids, Mal, Evie, Jay, and Carlos, got together, as well as 2 books that follow after the first Descendants movie leading up to Descendants 2, where it explains a little bit more about what's going on, upcoming characters that you meet in Descendants 2, as well as, you know, you get to kind of feel out the world a little bit more. But you were correct in the conversation that we had after the movie where there's not a lot of depth to it.
Right.
It's a lot more spoon-feeding emotions.
Yes.
You are...
Yes, that was the point that I forgot that I said, and you remember.
It's okay, I got this.
Thank you. Thank you for remembering the words that I don't remember.
And my nickname's Goldfish. Hi!
Hi. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's the whole concept of, it feels like they're trying to give me what I'm supposed to be feeling. And that was hard for me. I kind of reject it like a virus. You know, it's like your immune system comes up. Like I have an immuno response to like being fed the emotions I'm supposed to be feeling. So I kind of had a hard time with that. However, I really enjoyed the premise. Like overall, like what the concept was, like I thought that was fun. I thought it was actually a really fun idea. Minus the fact that like all these characters took place at different times and it's all totally insane. Like,
yeah, don't think that hard into the plot.
It's like they've literally like, it's to the point where it's almost kind of meta for itself. Mm-hmm. It's not taking place in a world where they're part of their own story.
Yes.
It literally is taking place in a world where we are literally, the world that we've created is a modern version of the Beauty and the Beast story, where they've like modernized those characters. Mm-hmm. And then anchored the rest of the Disney universe around it. Like, they've pulled everyone out of their time and place to be in this universe. And so, like, it doesn't. It's like it doesn't make any sense. And once you get to the point where you're like, right, this doesn't make any sense. Okay, we're just gonna keep moving, and then you just kind of develop from there. It works, but it is super crazy when you first start. You're like, what's happening?
Yeah, you can't really think too deeply into Snow White being, Germanic heritage,
Right,
and then,
exactly.
Thinking of Aladdin with the Agrabah, Middle Eastern,
middle-aged
blah,
sort
blah,
of.
blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
And then, you're thinking modern-ish with 101 Dalmatians and
Like 60s.
Cruella.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I mean, there are all these different components, and you have to think of them as all existing in one plane. And essentially, you're taking the main names of the characters and the main themes behind the characters, but you're not sticking too hardcore to
The original plot and the original character drive line.
So you hear things about Jay steals for his father because that's what they do in Agrabah, which makes no sense because Aladdin was the thief, but they're keeping that same kind of theme to it. And Carlos is afraid of dogs because his mother's obsession with dogs, and she turns it around on him, saying dogs are bad, vicious creatures, and
So they usually, they latch onto one little thing for each.
and then they run.
They run with that one little thing. So it's a little weird, and I had a thought that I totally forgot, but it was...
It's okay, it'll come back.
I know it will.
After we're done recording.
Of course. And it always seems to come back to the fact that I feel like the characters are a little one-dimensional because of the fact they're pulled out of their time and place. Mm-hmm. I think that it's hard for them to feel as realistic, especially some of the peripherals. Like, I feel like Jafar was kind of a stretch. Mm-hmm. He didn't have the
Regal air to him.
the kind of the flamboyant, oh yes, kind of thing.
What'd you think of the evil queen? Being played by what's-her-face from Sister Act / Hocus Pocus.
Right. I thought she was hilarious. and as
Yes,
much
but
as...
not like the evil queen.
No,
though.
not at all. They
Completely separate.
Yeah, it was a totally different vibe. I think actually my favorite was probably either Cruella. Cruella was pretty good, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And so was Maleficent. I thought Kristen Chenoweth did a really good job.
Well, I mean,
I do, but
Kristen Chenoweth.
it is, but Kristen Chenoweth wouldn't be good in a lot of roles, if we're honest.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that it's honestly she kind of worked in a way that was almost she kind of inherited the spirit of the character and kind of ran with it. It wasn't the Angelina Jolie crazy cheekbone situation and super flat. She was a lot more in the original over the top flamboyance of the character.
Don't you want to be evil
Yeah,
like me? Don't you want to be mean?
Literally, she basically just took Popular and then redid it for... Anyway, it's fine.
So let's get into the music then. So there
Yeah.
are a few songs that almost all of them are meant to be super poppy and catchy. And if you listen to them without knowing the context of the movie, you are going to not associate them with evil at all.
Which kind of makes sense, except for Rotten to the Core.
But no, even if you listen to that separate, it doesn't sound like it's supposed to be evil, unless you listen to the words. But most people, when you first hear a song, you listen
Yeah.
to the tune, you don't listen to the actual verbiage. And so it's kind of like, rotten to the core, rotten to the core.
It's very High School
rotten to the
Musical-y.
core.
Yeah, that song specifically got to me. I don't know. I did not
that's
like it.
the first song as well, and he looked at me and he's like, "Really? This is like High School Musical." And I was like, "Well, it'll get worse."
And then, to be fair, it got music-wise, it got a little bit better from that point for me. I don't know why.
Be our guest, be our guest.
Oh, God.
Put our service to the test. And then the rap part.
Yeah, that was a lot. There was just a lot going on there.
The thing about a DCOM is you have to look at the age range. And unlike a theater production or a theatrical release,
Yeah.
where it has to play to an audience that is a very diverse age range, they are very much hearkening on to kids. It is kids only driving who don't have a lot of emotional depth, and they are trying to take them on this journey.
Right.
And so when you're looking at a DCOM story, they are playing to the kids that are 5 to maybe 13.
Yeah.
And you have to look at it from that age range. If you try and look at it with complex thought and, like I said, diverse audiences, where a theatrical production like anything that we have also has interspersed adult humor
And
that
and
kids don't
adult
get.
themes and morals
You're
and
not
stuff.
going to have that here.
Like, I honestly don't know what the moral was beyond the fact that it's like,
Be good.
be good, I guess.
Be good. Good's cool.
It's cool, man. Super
Yeah.
cool.
So-
But also being kind of bad's cool. Like, it was a tough one. I did not know what they were trying to get at it by the end.
I want to be good.
That would be good, but I'm
And then
also
hands in. Although not really hands in, because they wouldn't say that, because they're bad kids.
bad kids. And then they also then she also had green eyes at the end, and I'm like, I don't.
She's part dragon.
Okay.
But then, it is what it is. There is a Descendants 2. We're probably not going to talk about it too much, but it does, again, move forward the plot line, adds in more characters' kids. You have Ursula's kid, you have Hook's kid, you have Gaston's kid, and you get to meet more people as well. And then what's coming up here soon, Descendants 3, you're going to have Hades, you're actually going to be able to meet. You're going to have brain farting. Princess and the Frog's Dr. Facilier's kid.
Oh.
And then I think there's going to be a couple others. There is Lady Tremaine's great-granddaughter that was in 2 and is going to be in 3 again. And so it brings the same characters through and allows you to kind of get to know them more, which is fun. And you have to look at it like candy. It is sweet. It is one level, and
Too much of it will rot your teeth.
exactly, but you can enjoy it.
Yep.
It's something brainless, mindless. You don't have to think too deep about it. And that's what Descendants is. But like I said, it does have the diversity to it, which I really enjoy, with actually taking and utilizing the Disney IP, because it has such a wide vocabulary regarding different characters and plots and stories that it can pull from. It really helps add to those stories that we love and we cherish through the movies that we've been watching all our lives.
Yeah.
And so this gives us a little bit more.
Absolutely. I'm still gonna. I'm expecting that I'm gonna be sat down to watch the other ones.
Yes,
and,
you are.
And I'm absolutely gonna do Mystery Science Theater 3000 over all of
Oh,
them.
they are hilarious. This is not something that we watch very intently.
No, it's
This is grab a drink,
and let's
and we are going to
just rip it apart.
Oh, it's so much fun. But that's what DCOMs are for as an adult.
Yeah,
you have
absolutely.
to look at it like that.
They have their own merits, but also it's real fun to just kind of rip them down a little bit, because I don't know. I'm working on it.
And on that note, this has been WD Carousel of Podcasts. Please check out our Patreon.
Yes.
The link is in our homepage on our website.
It's on the listen page on the website.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you so much for listening and watching. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And we hope you have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.